Bob and Mary live in a semi. They spend most every evening watching repeats on the telly, just burying their heads in digital sand. Bob sups his beer and thinks, "Ain't life grand?" He belches, revelling in its echo tone and strength, then half-heartedly apologises to save the argument. Mary is repulsed, but merely gives a tut. It's not she doesn't care, quite the opposite, but after all these years spent chastising and nagging, her enthusiasm for home improvement is flagging. Once Mary would have been described a dolly bird. Now she is just bird-like with a faintly tinted perm. She's been smoking menthol Super King since she turned 21. They still make her feel sophisticated, though she won't admit that to anyone. No, it hasn't been a bad life, and she's not one to complain, but she thinks she'd do it differently if she had her time again. She'd like to have been an air hostess and travelled all over the world, or worked on one of them cruise ships, or been a one of Pan's people's girls, just something a little more glamorous and less like egg and chips. She gives poor Bob a sideways look and purses coral-stained lips. They're a staple in their local. Bob drinks stout. Mary likes a baby sham and brandy when she's out. Bob's not fond of Mary's friends, he hates their gossiping ways, and Mary whispers too quietly and misses half the things she says. At 10:30 habitually, they totter up the road. Arm in arm, step in step, it's not a long trip home. "Bob," says Mary, "do you ever wonder if there's more to life than this?" "Mary," says Bob, "I dearly love you, but you're pissed. When you've had more than two, you know how you get all philosophical like. I've told you before about your limits, it's too much at my time of life." He straightened his cap, and Mary just sighed, and then she looked up and saw how soft were his eyes. "Oh, I know, love," she said, "and you've given me plenty, but sometimes I feel all used up and empty." "Oh, Doc, we've had such good times. Remember when we was young? All those trips to the seaside, those summers full of sun. Annual foreign holidays to the cost of this and that, strolling, licking ice cream in a kiss-me-quick hat. It's only right you're tired when you've lived as much as us. That's why they give us pensioners free rides on the buzz." Mary said nothing, but sadly smiled, and they walked in silence a little while, and then, when they reached their little front gate, Bob grabbed Mary's arm and said, "Wait!" "What?" said Mary, startled, half spun into Bob's waiting palms. "While there's moonlight, we've no music, but we've love and romance, haven't we, darling?" Mary's heart flew like a flock of starlings, and when she lifted her arms, Mary was glad she'd remembered that night to wear her tenor pad. She murmured, "Let's dance," and Bob stepped a tango, then screwed up his face and yelled, "Hey, me lumbago!" "Oh, Bob," cried Mary, "you poor old thing, let me give you a hand. Do you want me to ring for the doctor?" No, he said. "The best medicine for me will be us in bed." "Oh, give over," she playfully teased. "Between your back and my dodgy knees, we'll be lucky to make it up the stairs. Thank God the hot water bottles are already prepared." So she helped Bob to bed, and she fetched him his pills and unplugged the cords to save on the bills, locked all the doors and turned off the lights, jumped into bed, and they kissed goodnight. In well-practised harmony, they both removed their teeth, popped them into a single glass and pushed it out of reach. As they snuggled into decades-long impressions of their love on a mattress worn equally below as above, Mary's dreams encroached, and she saw flashes of her life from the time before and after she became a mam and wife. A joyful tear slid down her nose, and she reached her cold feet over to Bob's warm toes. "Bob, why don't we take the grandkids out down to the pier and tell them all about when you and me was courting and the Lido and your car and that bar that you fought in? Let's see how they are." Bob just grunted, but Mary didn't mind. for she knew that her face was laughter-lined, and it hadn't been a bad life, and she's not one to complain, and she wouldn't really do it differently if she had her time again.